Let's navigate our way to Fury. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk.
Tyson Fury, I mean, is he a dickhead? Like, what?
Examples where, the trans woman absolutely destroys the female counterpart.
Is between the cabinet was leaked, and Matt Hancock and other and Priti Patel and et al. Were, talking about this virus as if it was not real, essentially, and just how they were going to control the masses and persuade everybody into the actions that everyone did eventually take.
I forget Oluchi, I forget Chimamanda, I forget Uchechi, I forget all of them, all because of Nkechi. As I dey get to know her, even before I know her, me self no con dey believe the love I start to show her. Water don't pass Gary, no be juju be this. I con dey give her money like say na me dey owe her.
Nkechi, come make we gum body. I don't dey dread this your melody. Your melody's giving me energy. Oh, Nkechi, come make we gum body. I don't dey dread this your melody. Your melody's giving me energy. Oh, Nkechi, oh, make you no go do me strong thing, Nkechi, oh. My Nkechi, oh, make you no go do me strong thing, Nkechi, oh.
She no be Child's Bunny.
Greetings
and welcome to
Out of Noise with your host Stella B and
Nat Nye, where we bring our peace to the
mic. That's all wrong with that. Let's switch it up. It's fine. You know what it is. We bring our peace to the mic and we welcome you back frequently to tune into our frequency. You are very welcome back to our zone, our space. And we're dealing with trending subjects. So what's been happening in the week?
Yeah, so we're going to blitz through because there's a lot to talk about. There is always a lot to talk about. There is a lot to talk about. So various different things happening, but one of the peak topics is Chloe Bailey was trending. Chloe Bailey, for those that don't know, she is a singer who actually became known for her and her sister having a group together, and they're signed to Beyonce's Parkwood Entertainment Management company. And it seems like Chloe Bailey's been carving her path in the industry, and along the way she's been getting a lot of criticism, and this is another point of criticism. Basically, the criticism is cornered against her in terms of the way she people see her as a sexual being, or her expressing her sexual side, and people having issues with that.
Yeah, they really can't stand it. And you know what, they have to get used to women growing up in front of our eyes. So we definitely had them grow up in front of our eyes on YouTube before they were signed to Beyonce. When it got signed to Beyonce, everyone thought, oh, these cute girls, look, they're so talented. Long story short, cut to 2023, Chloe Bailey's in trouble for doing a song with Chris Brown. Now she's in trouble for having a sex scene in the film that she's in currently on Amazon Prime. And for me, I saw someone shared it on Twitter and it was like popping off. But she's an actress. She's a talented actress at that, as her sister is. They've been acting for many years. And part of the job is, you have to do some nudity, some sex scenes. And people are conflating her as a person with the character that she's playing. And we haven't seen the full thing, but we can see there's definitely context to it. It's just not anything she does is just going to be criticized. And clearly, out of the two sisters, it would be more likely to be her that does that than Hailey, who's going the Disney route. So just for the very fact that Disney probably are going to hold her to some sort of contract which wouldn't allow her to do nude scenes and stuff like that, at least for a few years. But let her do her thing, man. Just I think they need to leave Chloe alone.
Yes, they leave Chloe alone. There's much more important things to focus on, really and truly. But I do will the success of our artists and that they navigate their way in this industry mentally intact, because it is very, very, very taxing, very tough from all corners anyway, especially for young black artists, young black female artists at that.
So what's next, Nai?
Sports. So today, I believe it's today, which is the 23rd of March, Seb Coe, the head of the World of Athletics, as basically banned trans from competing with women. So basically, they are protecting trans women from competing.
Is it the same with trans men?
Well, I think it's specifically trans women from competing with women in the and essentially they want to protect the female category, right? They want to protect females sports or female competition in athletics. So across the board in all the sports that are involved in athletics, trans women can no longer compete with biological women.
Well, no big deal to me. That's fine. I mean, that's my thoughts. I think it's fine. I think I think there's a quote that Cohen said, you know, it's about protecting the female category, and fine. Like, we've seen what happened when it was all like Sam Smith insisting upon, you know, let's just have gender neutral category for best whatever in the Brits Awards, and we saw what happened. Like, no females got nominated. Like, we've got to think about the consequences of our actions in the short term, like in this emotional state that everybody's in, this kind of like raw emotional state of like, oh, let's just change this, the past is so archaic. And it's like things have gotten to a state of two extremes so quickly that people are thinking that they're providing solutions for these issues that is not so black and white. It's complex. If you think about the athletics sports arena, and not just simply the physicality of both sexes, and how when they participate in different sports, you have to kind of protect the female category in the sense of, if someone is trans, was born a man and then had puberty and later on decided to become a woman, or decided to take the steps to become the person they feel that they were their whole life, and then to participate in sports, that they will have an unfair advantage because of their physicality and what was developed during the time as a man. And therefore, those attributes will contribute to their performance in the arena of whatever sport it is. It's just facts. So protecting the female category is important. Should trans people take part in sports? Hell yeah, of course. They're human beings. But we have to consider what is the category that has to be a fair one for trans who want to take, who choose that career as a path as they should be able to. But muddying it up and, you know, people getting offended by these decisions, it's not that. You just got to think about the women that you're slowly crushing through giving all these rights to trans women.
Exactly, 100%. Like, I totally agree. And it can't happen the other way around, and that tells you everything you need to know. It, like, as a man or for male athletes, there is literally 0% threat. 0% threat of a trans man, so born a woman, then transitions to a man. There's no threat to competition in that sense. There is 0%. So men are not affected by this at all. The only ones who are affected by people transitioning is women. And so I'm glad in fact, for me, it was insane that they allowed that in the first place. It was insane because there's no new discovery here. This is what was happening over the last few years, where these trans women would enter into female competition and then win. Like that's and then when they were among the men before, they weren't winning. So, you know, I'm glad they've come to that decision.
Me too. Just a quick point as well, because I remember there's the dangerous aspect of it as well, particularly in boxing or combative game activities or sports. So do you remember the boxing competition where there was a trans woman, I believe, or trans man?
It was MMA. It wasn't boxing.
Oh, it was MMA.
Yeah.
Okay,
no
it was MMA.
That's not
but
happening in
still,
boxing.
like, I feel like people think caged fighting and all that kind of stuff, anything can go. Like, no, it's like there's limits, there's restrictions and borders that we shouldn't cross over, no matter how much you might feel, yeah, I'm strong. And a lot of the kind of indoctrination and things that we're watching nowadays, the crossover between like man and woman fighting is just so normalized. Like you could literally just think that yeah, it's fine, like, you know, it's a battlefield. But no, the reality is that there's a really unfair advantage, and that happened in the MMA fight, right? What happened?
There's a couple of examples. There's a couple of examples where the trans woman absolutely destroys the female counterpart, like destroys. I can't off the top of my head reel off names and or specific, but like seriously damages. I'll put it that way, in a way that is not normal for two men against each other or two women against each other. The strength disparity was clear between the two, and so but that's not nothing. You don't discover that after it happens. You don't discover you know what's going to be the outcome, and it's very different when we say women need to learn martial arts because it better can defend themselves. There's certain things that women can do on the streets that they're not allowed to do in the ring. So there's certain, you're able to access weapons, for example. You're able to dig somebody in the eyes or in their balls or whatever. Like, you're able to attack them in sensitive parts, which you're not able to do in a sport with rules. So my thought process is that women should not be restricted in any way, shape or form, nor should men. But when it comes to life and life desires, so if you want to pursue sport, being a woman should not stop you from pursuing sport, whatever sport that may be, be it MMA, be it boxing, the ones that are mostly associated with men. I don't think it should be just for men alone. I think women should be able to pursue that. If women want to be soldiers, if women want to be warriors, we've had throughout history, this is not me just speaking, this is thousands of years of women involved in the battlefield. So that's not a question. And in those arenas, those environments, women can handle themselves. There's warrior women that can handle a lot of men. That's just a fact. But when it comes to sport and competition, where there's distinct rules that you have to abide by, the physical disparities between men and women in general really come into play. And similarly in MMA and in boxing, you have weight divisions, because you can't have somebody who weighs 250 pounds versus against somebody who's 160 pounds. That weight disparity makes it an unfair advantage for the guy who's a lot bigger. So even in those kind of sports, you have weight, you have divisions. Not everyone can fight everyone. So even more emphasized when you have different genders.
Yeah, we can go on for days with that one. So what's next on the list?
What's next is, okay, on the topic of sports, let's navigate our way to Fury. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk.
Tyson Fury, I mean, is he a dickhead? Like, what is this? Like, he's so annoying.
He's definitely infuriating. Basically, yeah, the reason why we want to talk about this on Out of Noise is because I feel it's white privilege on PEDs, white privilege on steroids, white privilege on cocaine. That's what I think Tyson Fury embodies, and it irks me because you have a real champion mindset, which is what Anthony Joshua has. He conducts himself outside the ring as a champion, and inside the ring, he conducts himself as a champion. A champion is not only just about winning. There's much more to being a champion. You can lose and still be a champion. Losing does not define a champion. It's how you, oftentimes it's how you bounce back from those losses that can be turned into lessons, essentially. And losses are part of life. Every great champion, barring Floyd Mayweather and Rocky Marciano, Joe Calzaghe, we've got a few. Very small minority, though, are considered amongst the greatest boxers of all time. Very, very few. And the vast majority of the very, very best, in fact, in most people's eyes, the best would be Sugar Ray Robinson. Boxing hardcore fans will say Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali, and yeah, those two really. And then other names get thrown into it, like Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. Like if I go on, I won't stop. They are considered champions, and they have multiple losses, but they are considered the very best, the pinnacle of the sport. And because champions don't avoid tests, the test of a real champion is actually to go for the hardest test. And that's what it means. Like, if you think you're the best, you have to prove it in a ring. If I'm the best and somebody else is saying they're the best, the only way we can settle it is by proving it. Tyson Fury rides on the narrative, and they enable him to ride on this narrative because the image of him is what they want to see. And by they, I mean the media, specifically media, and certain crazy fanboys of Tyson Fury. They enjoy seeing the image of him as being a champion. So it doesn't matter what he does, doesn't matter what he achieves or what he swerves and ducks to prove it. As long as they have him in that position, they'll do anything to preserve it. Whereas with Anthony Joshua, he naturally, outside the ring, has got a draw that Tyson Fury hasn't got. It's just a fact. And in the ring, he seeks to prove it. That's why he challenges himself against people that the casuals, as we put it, don't know about Usyk, really. Well, they do now because he beat AJ. But before he beat AJ, people didn't really know about Usyk. And to lose to somebody that people don't really know, they're like, oh, AJ could never be that good or whatever. That's the type of fighter that Fury would avoid. So hardcore boxing fans see through Fraudy. We can see through him, and we're disgusted by his behavior. But the demonstration of it, one day I'll do a proper breakdown on this, but the demonstration of what we've seen over the years, how Anthony Joshua revived the sport. He revived the division of the heavyweight division. He brought attention to it. He was selling out stadiums. Tyson Fury, no one cared about him. He came back after failing a drugs test, a performance enhancing drugs test. He got popped, right? Went on a coke binge, came back, and rolled off the back of AJ to get the limelight that he has today. And then he's done the minimal to uphold that certain position, getting all the benefit of the doubts. And it's just I guess come to a crescendo point now with his latest ducking, disgraceful ducking. So he's ducked out of Usyk, just like he ducked out of fighting AJ a few times in the past. So yeah, white privilege on PEDs, white privilege on cocaine, white privilege on steroids.
His mentality is just terrible. How can people compare him to Muhammad Ali, who had such a different worldview? Like, nah, man, you can't compare.
And that's the image I'm talking about. And Stella's has touched on something that I'll say quickly. Basically, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful on personality and achievements. You can't put them in the same breath. I have to pause. Fury, Ali. Like, you can't put them to... It's disrespectful. He ain't done 10% of what Ali's done in the ring, let alone outside the ring. In the ring, you can't compare them. And then what they're trying to do as well is put Fury over and above Lennox Lewis. And again, that's extremely disrespectful. Tyson Fury ain't done not even quarter of what Lennox Lewis had to do in the ring. Yet they want to replace him. It's the image. It's the image that they want to... It's the image they like and they prefer. That's what they're fighting for. And to uphold that image means that he can avoid serious challenges, because if he gets embarrassed, if he fights Usyk dominates him and wins, then that image is now shattered. It's beyond repair. They can't use their imagination, storytelling ability to wax lyrical about this guy's ability.
So what's next? Because we can talk about this for a very long time. What else is going on that night?
So, politics. Boris has been sweating this week, hasn't he?
Yeah, Boris. They brought out Boris again, just like Trump in America. They need a bit of entertaining, a bit of distraction from a very important thing that happened a couple of weeks ago, where the WhatsApp messages between the cabinet was leaked, and Matt Hancock and other and Peter Patel and et al. Were, talking about this virus as if it was not real, essentially, and just how they were going to control the masses and persuade everybody into the actions that everyone did eventually take. Not everyone took them. I didn't take them. You didn't take them. But you know what I'm saying? So that whole thing hasn't really been delved deep into. You've not seen it on the national yokel rubbish news, because they're not really concentrating on that. That was like deep, like that. Part of it is like essentially just saying, how are we gonna convince these muppets? When we're gonna release the hounds? Like, it's pure evil chat. Like, when are we gonna release the other virus, the other strain? Like, what do you mean release the other strain? Like, what are we dealing with here? Like, what is this? So Boris, he's just come through like the classic clown, bumbling crowd, bumbling Boris. Like, he's just come through to just distract everybody from that and a ton of other stuff that's going on, like legislations that are being passed, laws that actually affect our humanity and our freedoms. You saw in France what they've recently done, which they're doing here as well, like in terms of stopping people from actually protesting on the streets for things that affect them, us people, like, really restricting our movement, our freedoms. So we've got to be very aware and awake to what's going on out in this world right now. So I feel like Boris is just, he's having his little Tony Blair moment where, Tony Blair was held accountable, but not at all really, for his crimes against humanity. But yet he's still wheeled out to talk on deep issues to do with what's going on. Like, why did we see him on screen when the COVID-19 thing was happening, like talking about his suggestions? I'm like, I don't want to hear from you. You murdered masses of people. You do not care, So Boris, the same thing, is just having his moment. Like, people were devastated by the lockdown rules, and the whole time Parliament was having parties. Like, it's actually insane. It's insane. Like, people weren't allowed to go to funerals to bury their loved ones, but they were there drinking and stuff, and man's there like doing his typical bumbling about I didn't lie, I didn't, because those psychopaths to themselves, they don't, it's all about reputation, and they will lie to the grave. They will go to the grave saying they didn't do what they know exactly what they did. They just don't care about the truth. It's about reputation above all else, and it's about camaraderie. So my mate's going to back me, this person's going to back me, so I'm fine. I'm just going to continue denying what is blatantly obvious of what he did. So yeah, they've just got him on there just to humiliate him a bit and like tussle him around. I doubt anything's actually going to come of it. We've seen so many examples of them just getting away with murder, essentially. So that's Boris in the news again. Nice pop-up picture meme for you of Boris and his clownish behaviour.
I saw one headline: "I'm not a liar, I'm just a moron." And I just thought, yo, they literally, like, they mirrored United States, United Kingdom. They mirrored it. Two clowns, two obvious walking, talking clowns to distract the people with their nonsense. And yeah, like, I mean, it is a distraction, and we should be talking on yeah, as you're saying, if we're going to talk on the party gate and stuff, let's go into the WhatsApp messages which they're hiding. So, this, yeah, it's a big, like, politics is theatre, and basically Boris Johnson is the clown of this show. He's an example, or he's a representation of the clown. And yeah, the clown takes our attention away when the real action is happening over there. That's what it is. So, and this whole theatre of, like, as you're saying, just giving him a little slap around, slap on the wrist, or just rough him up a little bit. It means nothing now. He's not Prime Minister. Like, anyway. So, the other topic we wanted to caress or roll through is the TikTok CEOs come out, because basically the United States of America are looking at ways at which they can ban TikTok. They're putting pressure on TikTok. So the TikTok CEO has come out, and he's basically saying that 150 million Americans are using this. Many small businesses. What is it, 7,000 businesses?
5 million of those are businesses.
Wow, 5 million.
Businesses and small businesses.
Wow. 5 million businesses.
And small businesses.
Businesses in general use TikTok. 5 million? Wow. Okay. Yeah, so what we saying?
But that's it. You've said it all. The CEO has come out and kind of put his balls on the table. Like, he's just gone like that. He just come out all friendly and nice, like, hey guys. Basically, because he's gonna do their version of the court thing with Facebook with Matt Zuckerberg. You know, they keep doing these trials because TikTok, as much as people love it and we do use it and stuff, and social media is another mechanism for control, because eventually we're being moved into social credit systems. So a social credit score system is where you rack up your social credit from creating and doing and behaving in ways that give you gifts for your behavior. So if you are a good citizen, you're going to get some credits. If you are nice to your neighbor, you're going to get some credits. And it's that like button thing, you know, that's going to be the new currency. That is the new currency. We're living in it already. We just see it as this our individual projects, our creativity. But TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even, they're all machines of collating a whole lot of data, making you very hypnotized and addicted, so you cannot feel like you cannot live without these things, these entities. Your phone is literally attached to you, and as often as you can, you want to jump on there and scroll and do whatever and dive into stuff. But what it is preparing everybody for these social credit systems, because it's attached to that kind of lifestyle of giving kudos or giving praise or liking someone for behaviors that we're seeing is very algorithm based. So the algorithm will praise certain kind of behavior and share certain kind of videos. So people are behaving in these ways. They're beginning to be programmed, especially the younger generation, to act and behave certain type of ways in front of a camera, and then that gets shared to millions and goes viral or whatever. But that's assisted by a machine. You know, the machine is learning, but there's also people operating behind that who are choosing what the behavior is, and most of it is dunce. Like, most of it is behavior that is very nonsensical. Most of it is stuff that is just pleases the part of your brain that is mostly asleep. Do you know what I mean? Like, we all do it. We all scroll at night or whatever period of time, and we all go into this kind of state, this zombie state of just, you know, flicking through, and it's just satisfying in some kind of way. So long story short, America is accusing the CEO of TikTok of using TikTok to spy on American citizens. And so he's going to go to court, and their answer to that is to ban TikTok. But there's so many people who are following TikTok, who have joined TikTok, who are obsessed with TikTok. I think it trumps all the other ones, really. It's very fast growing anyway. And that's a problem. It's not an American app. It's not a British app. It's not a Western app. So that is obviously a problem for America. So that is, I feel, the real reason why they're battling against this guy, and they're probably going to come up with all the things that is anti-China rhetoric, you know, all this. Meanwhile, China is putting all this pro-China rhetoric on their TikTok. They're getting their TikTokers to show like how amazing China is and how fantastic and how just cool Chinese people are, which they are. And like you've seen all the propaganda wars going on, like from both sides. Obviously, America is just it's going to be funny to see how they're going to convince 150 million people that, yeah, it's fine, ban us without causing riots, or I don't know what the young people and everyone that uses it, because it's not just young people, are going to say about it. But yeah, that's it in the short story.
Yeah, everything you just said. My thing is, they all, as you said, they're all doing it. So if America had Facebook and Twitter and Google, which owns YouTube, Alphabet, which owns Google, if those three entities were operating in a way that was not collating data, not only from United States citizens but people across the world, like, you know, what would happened with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica and all of that, where they actually were involved in persuading and pushing people towards a certain direction when it comes to elections and elections both here and in the United States. If those things didn't exist, or if those things happened and then they were like, right, now we know for sure that Facebook is not collating data, that Google is not collating data, that Twitter is not collating data and doing whatever they are doing with it. If Edward Snowden and Julian Assange wasn't treated how badly they've been treated till this day by these entities, then I would have more understanding as to their approach with TikTok. Right now, it's basically racist. It's just racist, and I'm going to go along with the racist angle. For me, I have no what's it called? No yeah, but that's not like I've got no. I don't care about alliance. I have no alliance in this fight, really. But if you're to push me, I'm going to more lean towards the Chinese, and the reason being is because certain people, and this is another conversation for another day, but with regards to Africa, for example, people will be wary of China, and then you have these European entities and European individuals that will major on the danger of China, and in such a way that dismisses all the evil that they've been committing against African people till this day, for centuries till this day. So I don't want to hear nothing about what TikTok is doing in terms of harvesting and gathering data. I'm not interested in that. As from the mouths of people doing the exact same thing and have been doing it before TikTok even existed. So, yeah. On that topic, we're going to float to the last one, and it is connected with China, because China and Russia, the president of the leader of China and Putin connected. Xi Jinping went over to Russia and they met, and they have strengthened their alliance, basically. And South Africa has basically come out, including the likes of Julius Malema, and said, listen, the ICC, who put out a statement to say, they've put out an arrest warrant for Putin. South Africa is saying, like, we're not involved in that. Putin is fine to come to our BRICS meeting in the summer, and he's good to get there and go. And Julius Malema was speaking strongly about the hypocrisy. Stella mentioned Tony Blair earlier. Tony Blair, George Bush, these two individuals, Barack Obama as well, in terms of what he did with Gaddafi, they have committed heinous crimes on a mass scale, and nothing. They're still walking around free. We don't hear, like, certain people are not allowed to have a conversation when it regards to morality, especially to us Africans, especially to us. You're not qualified to have a moral conversation with us. You got to focus. If you want to have a moral conversation, you got to clean up your house. And boy, geez, there's I gosh, that that house. I don't know what, it's beyond filth. Like, it's beyond. In fact, you'd have to destroy the house and then build it up again from the scratch. That's what you'd have to do, and before you can even enter any kind of conversation of morality. So ICC, we know what the International Criminal Court is about. We similar with the World Bank, similar with the IMF. We know what they're about. But the main point is that we are witnessing before our eyes a huge shift in power, and similar with the ability of propaganda to make us feel like things are not as they are. I believe that China already is in that position. And with the new alliance of Brazil, Russia, China, India, and South Africa, that's an empowered shift to the east. That's a shift to the east. Any shift of any power base needs an alliance, and that's their alliance. We're seeing a different world, but above the nations is where things get even more complex. And yeah, we can talk about above the nations, because the way the world is being directed, there is an interconnected interconnected activities and interconnected drive towards a governance that wherever you are, whether you're on the west or the east, you're kind of following the same sort of society. How does that work? And it's basically what you were describing in terms of the social credit system. How are you having two countries or two nations, or sides of nations that represent this and sides of nations that represent that, apparently basically working a similar sort of system? How is that working? But they're supposed to be against each other. So yeah, we're seeing a shift in power in terms of visuals, but there's a lot more to it behind the scenes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really interesting, the history of Russia's relationship with Africa specifically. So BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Those 5 places. In Brazil, we saw the removal of the female president, who was very liberal thinking and part of the whole movement, and so there was a pause in Brazil's relationship with BRICS when they installed their other person. But you know, it hasn't worked out for the real bad guys. And you know, you grew up in this country thinking, oh yeah, everything the West say is really good and they're right, and that's what they convince everybody to think. But a warmongering country can never be a good country, and it's all about, at the end of the day, minerals and access to minerals at the cheapest possible price for the consumption of the masses. But the consumption of the masses is pushed and promoted so that the very few can gain wealth off the back of that. So everybody is pushed to mentally just want and crave things that they don't necessarily even need in terms of living for what really truly matters. So we moved away from that, and we're just constantly on this grind, this kind of slave mentality, just to work and gain and just keep working and gaining. But there are a few that actually reap the benefits of that kind of behavior from us as humans. So long story short, both sides of the coin, you know, in terms of Russia specifically, we're watching the dynamic, and who they're really fighting over is us, is Africa, is what belongs to us as African people, the resources of the world, the resources that help fuel everything, technology that we're going into. We are in this technological age. We're leaving behind, or people are leaving behind, the real technology, which is us as humans, when we can tap into our inner selves and reach, you know, infinite possibilities. But all of that is kind of blurred by all the technology that we're using to it's like magic. It's like we're using a magic trick version of what is actually the infinite possibilities within us, and the resources for that come from Africa. So really and truly, that's the key focus for us, is Africa, and highlighting ways in which we can protect our sovereignty, you know, protect our motherland, and the diaspora, the people that are from the motherland also. And on that note, I think we can end it there, short and sweet. Thank you so much for tuning into the Out of Noise podcast with myself, Stella B.
And Nat Nye. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Do not hold back. If you really enjoyed it, do buy us a coffee. Check out our merchandise, our Out of Noise merchandise that we got. We've got a wonderful collection. And when you wear the Out of Noise brand, you are feeling what it feels like to bring your peace to the mic, where that may be.
So we'll see you again next time on the Out of Noise podcast.